The latest AP poll is officially out. The Auburn Tigers at number 1 and Alabama is at number 2. Did the AP get it right? And who at this point is the best team in the SEC? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He is Dave Shumate. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends once again over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, guys, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $150 in bonus bets today. The latest AP poll has officially been released, and the Auburn Tigers sit at number 1, even after falling over the weekend to the Florida Gators. Alabama will have something potentially to say about that this weekend upcoming as they host Auburn at Coleman Coliseum. Of course, the Crimson Tide sitting at number 2. The question we have today is simply this: did the AP poll get it right? And after Auburn falls to Florida over the weekend on their home floor, is there an argument to be made that the Alabama Crimson Tide are actually the best team in the SEC, or is that overreacting? Is it still Auburn? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He is Dave Shumate, lead basketball analyst here at SEC Unfiltered, joining me once again. Dave, really excited to talk about this. Obviously, later this week, we're going to break down this game, preview everything, talk top matchups, give our predictions, because it is the epic battle of the season we've been waiting for. But the argument rages on, Dave. Auburn or Alabama in that number 1 spot. And again, excited to chop it up with you and break it all down.
CP, fired up to talk about this. I mean, this was kind of the talk of the night on Saturday, especially I feel like Jimmy Dykes kind of just was automatically assuming it was going to be Alabama. And I think when you look at it, big picture, 30,000-foot view, just take away just a one-game sample size, being a prisoner of the moment, Auburn should be number 1. And I think the AP poll got it right. The coaches poll, I mean, whatever. We'll see if Alabama goes 2-0 this week, if they win at Texas tomorrow, if they beat Auburn on Saturday. Yeah, they'll move up to the AP poll. I still think Auburn would be the number 1 overall seed if the tournament started on Monday. Like from a metric standpoint, I still think they would be the overall number 1 seed, as they should. They have 12 quad 1 wins. I think the next closest is Tennessee at 8, if I'm correct. Like I think it's something like a 4-game difference or something. Like, Auburn should be the number 1 overall seed. I mean, I don't even really feel like it's that big of a discussion, and I think it would kind of be a shocker if they fell below it at this point, even if they did. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit. I would be shocked if they fell out of a 1 seed at this point.
Yeah, Dave, we think about what happened over the weekend. Again, Auburn suffering their first loss of the season to the Florida Gators. I think what was most shocking was it was on the home floor at Neville. It felt like that was a place where they were just unbeatable, 90-81 the final. Of course, we know Bama's loss came at this point, Dave, almost a month ago to the Ole Miss Rebels on their home floor. Final score of 74-64. And I agree with you here. I hate to agree with you because it doesn't make for as fun a banter. But I think Auburn staying in the 1 spot it's what I expected. Even on Saturday when that game happened and Auburn lost to Florida, I felt like you lose one game. And they've been the best team in the country, top to bottom, all season. And the way they've been dominating people, I think, too. I say that's the one difference, Dave. And again, this is going to get set on the court. That's the beautiful part. But I think you could argue the way Auburn's been winning this year has been more dominant. I think Bama at times has been more sloppy, even over the weekend. And I understand Arkansas is a great story right now, but I mean, you almost fall to the Hogs. You know, we've seen that a good bit. It's kind of like when you and I went to Tuscaloosa. It's like even when Bama has won big, you've just been longing for more. And I feel like Auburn's been a little bit more dominant. But that's the beautiful part. Again, this upcoming weekend, we're going to get this game on the hardwood. We're going to get these answers to these questions in these games. And, I mean, this is what the games we've had circled, we've had this one circled. Upcoming is the battle between the Iron Bowl on the hardwood. But I'm not surprised. But to your point, by the way, the fact that in the coaches poll, Bama is 1. Did that surprise you at all to see a disparity between the 2 polls?
I'll be honest, I don't really look into both polls too much. Because, I mean, again, we all know basketball is really a net ranking. That's what you should really be looking at. That's what matters. So the coaches poll, I mean, I know in football, a lot of the football SIDs fill that out for the coaches. So I don't know if some of the basketball SIDs too, and it was just kind of, I don't know. I think if you moved Auburn, you were just wanting to see another team at that number 1 spot. That's how I kind of feel about that situation. I think Saturday for Auburn was just Bruce Pearl said it in his post-game interview. He's like, I should have prepped my team more on how important this game was going to be for Florida because they needed a big win. Todd Golden, former Bruce Pearl assistant, one of his best friends is Stephen Pearl, Bruce Pearl's son that's on staff. Like Florida needed that signature win, and they definitely had all the ability in the world to do it. I mean, I think they're a total complete. I think as of right now, I would probably have them as a Final Four team. I know we don't know who anyone's playing, but still, I think they have a better shot of going to the Final Four than they do winning the SEC regular season. And that was without Elijah Martin on Saturday as well. That was Walter Clayton's first game back. So give Florida. I think that was a lot more about Florida. I think Auburn got a little too comfortable again when things didn't go their way. Like again, I think they play with that chip on their shoulder. Auburn does at times, and it's to their benefit at times. But I think on Saturday, their emotions get in the way a little bit. You saw Janai Broome kind of complaining a lot. You saw Chad Baker-Mazara letting his emotions get the best of him. Like I don't know, it boiled over on Saturday. And I think that was just. You know what? This league is it's hell on wheels, night in, night out, even at home. We found out at Neville Arena. And to your point, Chris, you mentioned it. I think it's the hardest place to play in the sport right now. And I think that's what makes it a little more shocking. If this game was in Gainesville, at the O-Dome, I think people would have been like, okay. I mean, last year, remember, again, Auburn's much better this year. But Auburn went there and got blown out by 30-35 last year in Gainesville. So, like, if it was in Gainesville, I don't think a lot of people would have been shocked with Florida beating Auburn. I still don't think people were shocked. That's too strong. A bit surprised, especially when you consider it was at Auburn.
Yeah, I think folks, Dave, to your point, would have just written it off as, hey, that's the SEC. You're going to take your licks. But to lose in Neville was the thing that jumped out.
And you were down by 20 in the second half.
Yeah, and so give credit, I should say, to Alabama, who over the weekend, again, they went on the road to Bud Walton Arena, able to beat a stingy Arkansas team 85-81. Again, Dave Shumate, lead basketball analyst here. Dave, we're going to get these games on the hardwood. These teams play twice, so, if they split, I guess the argument can continue to rage on. We'll find out more answers as we go throughout the month of March. We get into March Madness, et cetera. And again, we're going to preview this game, break it all down, give our predictions later in the week. So if you guys are looking for that, tune back in later this week and you'll get a full game preview for really the game of the season. It's got game of the year vibes. Both of the matchups will Saturday at Coleman, end of the season at Neville. But Dave Shumate, lead basketball analyst, tell me right now before we see these two teams play, why is Auburn better in your mind? What's the case for Auburn? What's the case for Alabama? Because I know you've been someone that I don't want to call you a staunch defender of Bama, but I think there's been a lot of chatter this season. It's almost like folks have wanted to write the Crimson Tide off at times. And I know you obviously have not bought into that narrative. And you've even said yourself that Alabama could end up being by season's end the better team, the best team in the conference. So give me the case for Auburn. Give me the case for Bama right now as who is the best team in the sport right now.
I mean, I'll say it. I said it on Mike Getting show earlier today that I was on. I think Alabama's the higher ceiling than Auburn. I think there's more NBA talent on Alabama's roster from top to bottom, 1 through 12, 1 through 13, than there is on Auburn's. Auburn's a much older team, much veteran team. They've all played in this a lot of them have played in this Bruce Pearl culture, this Bruce Pearl system. They're an older group, a couple of 25-year-olds on this team. So very physical. And again, they all play their roles to an elite level and understand it. Janai Broome, obviously we know it starts with him, but you also have Chaney Johnson, I think who is maybe the most improved player in the league. And we didn't get to see it a lot last year because he was behind Jalen Williams. I think Todd Pettiford off the bench has been big for him. I think Denver Jones has been solid against lesser teams now. And his 5 games, I think, against top 10 teams, he has really struggled this year. He's not had his best, and that'll be key down the stretch. Again, he was not great the other night against Florida. That's a key reason why they lost. He's got to be better against good teams, I think, for them to ultimately go win the national championship. But again, you got Auburn. Dylan Cardwell plays his role to an extremely elite level, kind of like an entertainer to some extent. I don't know. They're very chip-based, out-hustle, relentless defense. That's where they get you. Again, it's not the most talented group. It's just a very older, experienced team that doesn't get rattled that much. And you saw them get a little rattled and their emotions get best of them on Saturday. I think that's where they kind of let that game get away from them. But they've done a good job of that all year, keeping that in. And are kind of bottling it up. And I think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until proven wrong that I think that was just a one-game example. Again, there are 2 losses this year so far, CP. At Duke, which was a very competitive back-and-forth game where Auburn got out to a 13-2 lead. And then you lose to Florida, again at home. But right now, that's the 3rd-ranked team in the country. It's not a bad loss. I mean, your 2 losses are to the 3rd and 5th-ranked team in the country. I mean, okay. Until proven otherwise, I think they're definitely the best team in the country. For Alabama, and I'll say this, I think Auburn's got a higher floor than Alabama. And what scares me about Alabama, to my point, just the turnovers. Again, I think Alabama has a higher ceiling overall than Auburn. I think they got overall just better athletes, better players. If you're talking about full upside, but let's be honest, you don't play to your ceiling more times than not. You get closer to that floor. That's why I think Auburn's a little bit more consistent. But I think Alabama, since Chris Youngblood's been back, they've only lost 1 game. Since he's been back fully healthy, he missed most non-conference play. I think his first game back maybe was Creighton. I think it was the Creighton game was his first game back, limited minutes right before Christmas break. But since they've been back, their only loss was to Ole Miss. So he's been a key cog, especially with the Trail right cell going out with the Achilles injury. The redshirt in Houston Millette, Aiden Holloway has came on, started off slow in non-conference play, but has came on, has been one of the better shooters in the league, if not the most consistent shooter in this league since conference play started. So that's been big for him. Mark Sears has gotten better, started playing better defensively. If they could get Darion Reed back, makes them 10 deep, that'll be big as well. So, no, I think both these teams, true national title contenders, and that's wild to say. We're talking about the state of Alabama, Auburn for the first time. They'll meet number 1 and number 2 CP in basketball before they ever will in football, which is wild to say. And think about it. This is the first number 1 versus number 2 SEC matchup ever.
Who would have thought? And again, the great thing about the conversation, Dave, and the breakdown you just did, we're going to get this on the floor. We're going to see it on the hardwood. Again, they may split. You never know. But the first battle takes place this week. And again, later this week, we will have a full breakdown, preview, and conversation, give some predictions when it comes to the Iron Bowl on the hardwood, the Auburn Tigers and Alabama Crimson Tide, round 1 at Coleman Coliseum on Saturday. But again, guys, we'd love to hear from you. Who do you think should be number 1? Again, the coaches say Bama, AP says Auburn. What say you, the Tigers or the Crimson Tide? Again, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Again, Dave Shumate, our lead basketball analyst. Make sure you stay tuned to all of his great work, our great work. Again, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, you're going to see Dave's face live reacting to everything. Saturday nights, of course, Dave knows ball. You already know the drill, everything in between. I am Chris Phillips. And again, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. And before we get out of here, guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because, again, once again, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets in a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Again, once again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much. For Dave Shumate, I'm Chris Phillips. Until next time, we appreciate you all tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.